Hello everyone, and welcome to FluentFlow. My name is Alex, and I want to start by saying that if you are listening to this episode right now, you are already doing something very important for your English. Listening regularly, even without effort, is one of the strongest foundations for fluency.
Hi, I'm Emma, and FluentFlow was created for learners who feel that English makes sense in their mind, but still feels uncomfortable when they try to use it in real life. This podcast is not about speed, perfection, or performance. It is about familiarity, comfort, and gradual improvement.
You don't need to treat this episode like a lesson. There is no exam at the end, and there is nothing you need to memorize. If your attention moves away for a moment and then comes back, that's completely normal and actually part of the learning process.
Language learning works best when the mind is relaxed, because a relaxed mind notices patterns naturally. When you are calm, English sounds clearer, sentences feel smoother, and understanding becomes easier over time.
Many learners believe they must actively focus on every word to improve, but listening passively also plays a powerful role. Even when you are not consciously analyzing the language, your brain is still absorbing rhythm, pronunciation, and structure.
So as you listen today, try not to judge yourself. You don't need to think, I should understand this better, or my English is not good enough. Instead, think, I am allowing English to be part of my day.
That simple shift in mindset makes a real difference, because language grows through exposure, not pressure.
One of the most common experiences English learners share is that they understand grammar rules and vocabulary, yet feel stuck when it comes to speaking. This happens because studied English and daily English live in different parts of the brain.
Studied English often feels heavy, structured, and serious. It feels like something you must get right. Daily English, on the other hand, feels light and flexible because people use it to express thoughts, not to show correctness.
In everyday life, people don't stop to think about grammar before saying something like, I'll get back to you, or that sounds reasonable. These sentences come naturally because they have been heard and used many times.
When learners only study English occasionally, the language never gets the chance to settle into their thinking process. It stays separate from daily life.
But when English becomes part of everyday listening, even in small amounts, it slowly stops feeling foreign. It starts to feel familiar, and familiarity reduces fear.
That's why daily listening, even while doing other activities, can be more effective than long study sessions done once in a while.
English improves when it becomes something you live with, not something you visit occasionally.
One of the most misunderstood ideas about learning English is the belief that speaking practice must come before listening practice. But in reality, speaking is simply the result of listening done well and done consistently over time.
When learners say they feel stuck while speaking, it's often because their brain hasn't heard enough natural English to feel comfortable producing it. Speaking feels difficult, not because of lack of intelligence, but because the language still feels unfamiliar.
Think about how you recognize a song even before the lyrics begin. You don't analyze it consciously, but your mind already knows what is coming next. Language works in a very similar way.
When you listen to English regularly, your brain begins to predict how sentences usually continue, how ideas are connected, and how thoughts are completed. This prediction happens quietly, without effort.
At some point, you may notice that sentences come to your mind without planning, such as realizing that something doesn't feel right, or thinking that you'll take care of it later, without stopping to translate.
These moments are small, but they are powerful because they show that English is becoming familiar rather than foreign.
Speaking confidence doesn't suddenly appear one day. It builds slowly, as listening creates a mental library of sounds, structures, and expressions that your mind can access naturally.
This is why forcing yourself to speak before you feel ready often creates stress, while allowing listening to guide the process creates comfort. One of the simplest but most effective ways to strengthen English is by allowing it to exist quietly in your thoughts during everyday moments, without turning it into a formal exercise.
For example, when you are planning your day, you might notice yourself thinking that you need to finish something first, or that you'll deal with another task later. These thoughts don't need to be perfect to be useful.
When English enters your thoughts this way, it stops feeling like a school subject and starts feeling like a tool for thinking.
Even small mental reactions, such as noticing that something is taking longer than expected, or realizing that you are not in the mood to do something, help your brain connect English with real life.
You don't need to replace your native language. Instead, you are simply giving English space to grow alongside it.
Over time, these small mental moments accumulate, and English starts appearing more naturally when you need it.
This approach removes pressure because there is no audience, no judgment, and no fear of mistakes.
Fear is often the invisible barrier that prevents learners from using English, even when they understand it well. This fear usually comes from the idea that English must sound perfect to be acceptable.
Many learners wait for the moment when they'll feel ready to speak, but that moment rarely arrives because confidence grows through use, not preparation.
When people communicate in real life, they hesitate, rephrase, and correct themselves all the time, even in their native language.
Mistakes are not interruptions to communication, they are part of it.
When learners allow themselves to be imperfect, English becomes flexible instead of fragile.
And flexibility is what allows progress to happen naturally without constant self-judgment.
Listening helps reduce fear because it lets learning happen quietly, without putting you in a situation where you feel exposed.
The most effective listening practice is not intense or complicated, it is consistent and comfortable.
Listening becomes powerful when it fits easily into your routine, such as while resting, walking, or doing simple tasks.
When listening feels natural, your mind stays open instead of tense.
You don't need to measure progress every day. Improvement often happens below the surface.
Over time, English starts sounding clearer, faster, and more familiar, even if you don't notice a specific moment when it changes. If you are listening to this podcast regularly, you are already building a strong foundation for English fluency.
You don't need to rush or compare yourself with others.
Every listener has a different pace, and all progress is valid.
English is not something you conquer. It's something you grow into.
Thank you for giving English a place in your day.
This was FluentFlow.
Keep listening, stay patient, and let the language come to you naturally.